chapters 7 and 8 right now. We are going to go back to them. Chapter 7 and 8 are all about graphing. Actually, not graphing on a unit circle, but actual like graphing. And I thought it wasn't really, the chapters skipped from doing identities in chapter 6 and then identities again in chapter 9. So I thought we would keep the flow and keep moving on trig identities. This is one of my favorite things to do in math, and I love this chapter, chapter 9. This is about proving trig functions. So these are not just, these are not your typical geometry proofs. Okay, in geometry we had very formal proofs. You had to list out all of the steps and list out all the reasons why you could do each step. In trig proofs, it's very informal. Okay, so you start from one place, you have to get to another. You don't necessarily have to. You don't have to set out steps. Okay, you have to make sure you follow all the rules, but you can just use algebra to prove each one. Okay, this is very, very similar to what you did in chapter 6-5. Okay, the problems are going to get a little bit harder, but there's no new rules for this section. There will be for the next one, but not this one. So, proving trig functions. So just keep in mind also that your way might be different than mine. Okay, you may have you may get to the same conclusion, but you may have used different rules, used rules in different places, and you may get there a completely different way. It may take me 5 or 6 lines to do a proof, and it may take you 2 pages. All right, just depending on where your brain took you as you were walking down the path of the proof. It is okay as long as we get from the same point A to point B. Even if our proofs are different, it is all right. So I'm going to start with this function right here. Now what's nice about this is this gives you direction. It gives you a problem. 1 plus sine x minus sine squared x over cosine of x. And now I want to prove that this is the same thing as, the cosine of x plus tangent of x. Alright, so how do we do this? Well, we're going to start by remembering our rules. All right, I'm going to change some orders of things so that we can make this easier to solve, and so you can see it just a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to go 1 minus the sine squared x plus sine of x over the cosine of x. Okay, I'm not going to do anything over here with the cosine of x plus tangent of x. I'm going to leave that right where it is, because that's my goal. That's where I'm trying to get to. This is a proof. I start with one thing, and I want to get to the next thing. We use algebra to do the proof. All right. Now, if you will remember, 1 minus the sine squared x is the same thing as cosine squared x. All right, for those of you that are wondering where that came from, I'm going to go over here and do this really quick. Sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. Okay, that's one of the Pythagorean identities, right? If I subtract sine squared x from both sides, I have cosine squared x. So, on this, I have cosine squared x plus sine of x over the cosine of x. Okay. Now I can split this up. Remember, with fractions, I can split up the denominator. So I have cosine squared x over cosine x plus sine x over cosine of x. All right. So cosine squared of x over cosine of x is the same thing as just cosine x. All right. Now we need to think about what am I looking at. So once you've manipulated it a little bit and you're starting to get somewhere, look again at our goal. Our goal is cosine x plus tangent x. I have one piece. I have cosine x. So now I'm going to say, all right, what can I do to get tangent of x? Well, here I have this piece left, right? So if I needed to manipulate it some more, I could. But right now, it's just sine of x over cosine of x, which, according to our reciprocal rules, I can never remember the name of the rule. To our quotient identities, that's what I call it, our quotient identities, the tangent of x is the same thing as sine of x over cosine of x. So now I have proven that 1 plus sine of x minus sine squared of x over cosine of x is the same thing as cosine of x plus tangent of x. Okay, and this is our goal today. All of your problems will work the exact same way. I only have 3 examples for you because a lot of it is just playing. All right, you're going to have to play with it to figure them out. So, so we're going to do 2 more examples, just so that you can kind of see how it works. All right. So number 2, this is kind of a long one. I have sine of x over 1 plus cosine of x. Okay. I want to prove that it is the same thing as 1 minus cosine of x over sine of x. All right. So first of all, we need to look at what do we have? So this is just, I'm going to show you some of the strategies for getting what you want. So I know I need a 1 minus cosine x, and that sometimes is really hard to come by. That type of a problem. It's not like it's a basic, sine of x, tangent of x, cosecant of x, that kind of stuff. I need an actual 1 minus cosine of x. So I'm going to manipulate my fraction by multiplying by 1. Okay, again, remember the algebra rules all apply. So, sorry, I'm recording the video. Can you come back and do this? So I have sine of x over 1 plus cosine of x. Okay, now I'm going to multiply by 1. 1 minus cosine of x. And I'm using this specifically because I want the 1 minus cosine of x. Okay? Alright, so now I have this. I have this 1 minus cosine of x in here. Right? So that's there. Now we're going to do some simplifying. I have 1 plus cosine of x plus 1 times 1 minus the cosine of x. Now if you remember, our rules are a squared minus b squared. That's not right. You have x plus y times x minus y. Again, some of these algebra rules you have to remember. X squared minus y squared. Okay? So this is 1, this is x plus y, x minus y, right? In a sense. So we have sine of x times 1 minus cosine of x over 1 minus cosine squared of x. Okay? Super convenient. This is all working out. Okay, and typically you'll see this. As you start playing with them, they will work out the way you want them to. Sometimes it takes a little longer than normal. Now, from our Pythagorean theorem rules, that we know 1 minus cosine squared of x is the same thing as sine squared of x. Now, something that's super important here is that I did not simplify sine of x times 1 minus cosine of x, and I did not do that because I want it to stay intact because it is in the numerator of what I'm looking for. So I don't want that to change. So now I have a sine of x over sine squared of x. Okay, that canceled out, and I'm left with 1 minus cosine of x over sine of x. All right, which is what I was looking for. All right, that was example 2. Example 3 is the last one that we're going to do. I want you to notice that you can manipulate both sides of the equations to end up with basically the same thing. So like if I start with one side of the problem and I'm not getting anywhere, and I can manipulate the second side of the problem and see if I can end up with the same thing eventually. So we're going to do this actually using proportions. You can do this with other problems too. Oops, sorry. Cotangent of x minus 1 over cotangent of x plus 1 equals 1 minus the tangent of x over 1 plus the tangent of x. Okay? So in this case, what we're going to do, our goal is to get both sides to be the exact same thing. So however we do that, we're going to manipulate both sides. So I'm actually going to start off by going ahead and doing cross multiplying. So I'm going to do the cotangent of x minus 1 times 1 plus the tangent of x. It's going to be the same thing as 1 minus the tangent of x times cotangent of x plus 1. Okay, and then I'm going to simplify both of these. So this is the cotangent of x. Okay, I just used FOIL. Minus 1 plus cotangent x tangent of x minus tangent of x. Should I have this written down right? Okay. And then this one is cotangent of x plus 1 minus cotangent x tangent x minus tangent x plus 1 knew I was doing something. Okay, I had too many things written on here. So, so a couple of things. I want to note here. I think of this stuff somewhere. Oh, okay, no, I have. Okay. So in here, so I'm going to simplify. First of all, cotangent of x tangent x is 1. All right. So you know that because cotangent of x is 1 over tangent of x. When you simplify it, it's 1. Okay, right here, the same thing. That's 1. All right. So we're going to do some crossing out before we just determine that we're done. So -1 and a positive 1 is the same thing. So this is going away. So I'm left here with the cotangent of x minus the tangent of x. Okay. Now, here, those have canceled out. And I'm left with the cotangent of x minus the tangent of x. Alright, you notice they're the same thing. We can call it proved that they are the same. Okay. So your homework tonight, this is another one, I'm assigning only odds. In the back of the book, you will find that all the problems are worked out for you. They're done very simplistic, okay? But I want you to try the problems on your own. Okay, you will do all of the even problems next time. Okay, we're going to spend 2 days on this. But I want you to try really hard to see how you know, because this is the first time you've done this. I want to see how you can do them without looking in the back of the book. Now, if you get stuck or you have a hard time, that's why I'm giving you the odds, so that you can go double check, make sure you haven't screwed up somewhere. That's it.